Welcome, everyone. We are so glad all of you could join us today. Today, I am super happy to be joined by Aisling Melton, who is a parent champion with the Courageous Parent Network. And she is going to providing a roadmap and how Courageous Parents Network supports families with anticipatory guidance. Um, Courageous Parents Network is a resource that I learned about fairly recently. I think it's just been a year and a half, 2 years or so. And it is just such an amazing resource, not just for families, but also for providers. And I'm just super happy that they've agreed to come on our platform today and share just all of the wonderful resources. And I know that all of you are going to find this super helpful. And again, please share with all of your colleagues, if you're a provider, and with other parents, if you are a parent of a child with medical complexity or any kind of disability. My name is Christy Moore. I'm with the Exceptional Children's Assistance Center. I am the parent of a 15-year-old who has a genetic disorder and autism. And let's see, so today, we're going to take about hour and 15 to present these resources. And then next week, we will send out a follow-up email that will include a link to the recording. It'll include a PDF of the slides and then any other resources that get mentioned or that Aisling wants to send out in a follow-up email. We will send that out too. And this will be posted to our YouTube channel probably sooner than the email will go out. We have a very robust YouTube library, so I do encourage you to check that out as well. And we hope you guys have tons of questions. Please put those in the Q&A section and not in the chat, just because the chat sometimes gets bogged down and we want with other things. So we just want to make sure that we capture everybody's question and that we address those and get those answered. Feel free to put questions in the Q&A as you think of them. And then once Aisling is done presenting, then we will go through the Q&A, go through the questions and answer those. I'm going to launch a short evaluation poll towards the end. It's about, I think it's 4 multiple choice questions. It's super quick. ECAC is largely funded by federal funds, and our funders do require us to capture data on everything we do. So we would really appreciate if you just take a couple seconds and fill that out. And I will not take up any more of your time. With that, I will turn it over to Aisling.
Thank you so much, Christy. And hi, everybody. Thank you for being here today with me for this Providing a Roadmap webinar. I truly appreciate the opportunity to spend this time with you all and to introduce you to Courageous Parents Network, talk about who we are, what we do, and how this incredible resource can support you all and the families that you serve. And my hope is that you'll leave here today with a clear sense of how CPN can be a valuable tool, offering not only education, but perspective and connection for families with anticipatory guidance. So I am here because of the Eileen Beale Charitable Foundation. The 2025 Parent Champion Program was made possible by this charitable foundation, and I'm here today because of their generous support and belief in the power of the lived experience. Again, my name is Aisling Melton. I am married to my husband, Ben, and we are the two proud children. We are the two proud parents of two beautiful children, Ava and Padraig, as you see here. I absolutely adore this photo and use it often in presentations simply because it captures one of the last moments that we shared as a family, as in the life that we knew. And so this was just shortly before Ava was diagnosed. And so very near and dear to my heart. And the 6 words that you'll see here that are listed is kind of why I'm here, why I want to do this. And it's simply because Ava Grace Melton deserved better. Again, my perspective, who I am, I have been a nurse for over 15 years. And I also serve as a parent champion with the Courageous Parents Network, where I have the privilege of sharing our family story to really help bridge the gap between clinical care and the lived experience. So our daughter Ava was diagnosed with a diffuse midline high-grade glioma, a form of incurable brain cancer at the age of 10, and she died at the age of 12. Also very important for me to share this photo since this is more of an accurate picture of kind of what life looked like for us over those 2 years. So I really appreciate, being able to be here again to share with you all, and thank you for having me here today to again, identify how valuable a resource CPN can be for everyone. Although my story, really involves pediatric brain cancer, the truth is that parents of medically complex children, we all share the same fears, the same overwhelm, and we all really need a similar roadmap in order to navigate this journey, no matter what the child's diagnosis is. So some objectives for today's webinar is understanding how CPN's resources provide anticipatory guidance to families and children with medical complexity. We'll describe the importance of preparing emotionally and practically for what lies ahead, and identify how other parents have used CPN's tools to feel more supported, informed, and connected. So, anticipatory guidance, kind of what is this? It's a familiar educational practice that seeks to proactively prepare families for, what they should expect in the future and how to meet the child's needs at each developmental stage. Having a child with an exceptionality just really comes without a roadmap, without a what to expect book. For families, and yet anticipatory guidance is a gift for families who really needing and wanting to better understand what they can likely expect or maybe be experiencing. And so, whether you're navigating the ongoing grief of a diagnosis, supporting siblings who feel overlooked, managing relationship stress, coping with isolation, or facing difficult decisions, or really just simply seeking clarity amidst the uncertainty, CPN really does offer tools that help you feel informed, empowered, and less alone. So the impact of anticipatory guidance, specifically for us, anticipatory guidance really gave us a language and an orientation when the ground beneath us just felt like it was just constantly shifting. When Ava was first diagnosed, everything just felt very overwhelming, very terrifying. And yet, even a small sense of what might come next just really softened the edges of uncertainty for us and provided so many emotional footholds. And so it prepared us emotionally, socially, and practically so that, every new phase didn't just completely level us. And it didn't take away our pain, but it certainly made the pain a little bit more understandable. It really gave us, words for what we were experiencing, and that language really allowed us to just kind of take a deep breath. And we were able to make decisions with much more clarity. We were able to protect time for the moments that really mattered most. And we could love her in the present without being consumed by the fear of the future. And anticipatory guidance really helped to transform the unimaginable into something that we could, something that we could name, something that we could expect and prepare for. And it really taught us that, grief had already begun even when Ava was still with us. But, most importantly, that love and loss could certainly coexist. So, what is CPN? Courageous Parents Network is a nonprofit organization that provides curated digital resources and programming to help parents and others caring for children with a serious medical condition to navigate the illness journey with support and a sense of community. We offer three different initiatives or portals. Each offers anticipatory guidance through video interviews of parents, clinicians talking about their experiences, blogs offering you the perspective of other parents, and professionally reviewed guides on a variety of topics. Speaking of topics, one topic that was very important to us and vital for our survival was support for siblings. Siblings are often the silent witnesses to everything. They're absorbing the intensity, the stress, and the uncertainty, but they don't really always have the words for it. And so when parents receive anticipatory guidance, they can better support siblings emotionally. Parents can offer age-appropriate language and preparation, allowing them to feel seen, heard, and included. And it just really helps parents to respond with intention and protects the sibling relationship, in addition to the family system. And so CPN offers a variety of resources to help us better understand the sibling experience and feel equipped to navigate this part of the journey. Um, Anticipatory guidance really helped us to keep both Ava and Padraig, well informed in ways that were appropriate for their ages and their emotional needs. It really gave us a framework for checking in with them on a regular basis, answering their questions, open and honestly, and reassuring them that if anything, was to change, that they would be the first to know. And having that open communication just really helped them to feel secure and included. And it never really left them in the dark or having to just kind of identify or, determine what was going on, which can feel very scary for siblings. So here you'll see a variety of resources that are provided. CPN offers a wide range of sibling-focused resources from printable guides to video stories to audio content to blogs that are written by parents and siblings. And I love that there's such a variety of formats because siblings really need different kinds of entry points and different kinds of support. And the diversity of materials really honors where each sibling is emotionally and developmentally, and it gives families multiple ways to support them. Another good topic is protecting relationships. Relationships are deeply impacted by medical complexity, and partners often grieve very differently. I also very intentionally chose this photo of my husband and I. This is right after Ava had been diagnosed and had gone into the hospital, and I think that the the photo really conveys exactly how we felt, right? We had no idea what had just happened. Our entire lives had just changed. We just couldn't even understand what was going to come next. But what we did know is that we were going to figure it out and we were going to do it together. And so, again, partners do grieve differently. They experience everything differently. And so, one may become the researcher while the other becomes the decision maker. One may focus on treatment and hope while the other is bracing for the decline. And without anticipatory guidance, those differences can sometimes feel like a disconnect or a misalignment. And what anticipatory guidance does is that it normalizes those differences and really gives partners, language to talk about them. It allows partners to shift from reacting to each other to understanding each other. It supports compassion over blame. It, creates connection over isolation. And relationships don't have to break under the weight of all that's going on. And anticipatory guidance really helps create a space for both partners to still find each other in the middle of the storm. And so, from the very beginning, Ben and I understood what we were up against from the standpoint of the statistics were not in our favor. And we knew that in that first shocking wave of information that our lives were forever changed. But in those early moments, before we even had the language for what we were feeling and what was going on, Ben and I just made a promise to each other to never allow this to destroy our marriage, our family, or each other. And we didn't know, right? We didn't know what the road ahead was going to look like. We didn't know the depth of fear, the level of exhaustion that would come, or the impossible decisions that we were going to be faced with. But we did know that if we turned away from each other, if we stopped communicating, if we let the stress and grief divide us, then we would be losing more than just, our daughter's health. We would be losing the life that we had built with her and our son and the life that we built with each other. So we really anchored ourselves in that commitment every day, even on the days that felt impossible, on the days where we just couldn't even process what was going on, the days where we just needed different support. And we've reminded ourselves that we're on the same team, that we do carry the same heartbreak, and that decisions made in our earliest moments, truly shaped how we moved through everything that followed. It's a reminder I hold on to even now, that love, intention, and connection can certainly exist right alongside fear and uncertainty, and that choosing each other again and again is really one of the most powerful, acts of resilience I think that a family can make. So next year I have a video that I'd love to share. It's from the CPN website. And when I think about the many stories shared through Courageous Parents Network, I'm always struck by the honesty and the courage of the families who really just open their hearts to us. In this video, you'll hear from Sarah and Steve, who are parents to Emerson, who had Gaucher type 2 and died at 16 months old. And you'll hear what each of them needed during their daughter's illness and how those needs were, at times very different from one another.
there were I saw their stories online. Obviously read tons and tons of things online and about gauchers. And for me, going through it, I didn't want to associate it with it until I got there, and there were so many things that I was fearful about getting to, like what happens when we get to this point or what happens when we get to that point. And they were so terrifying to read about. You read them and you can't put yourself there. But then after you go through that part, it's actually much easier in retrospect to read the stories and to kind of, and to, you don't have the fear because you know that, okay, well, this is what happens and this is what you do and this is what we did. And I'm not going to say that anticipating is worse than it happening, because it happening is the worst thing you can imagine. But somehow you adapt to things in a way that you can't imagine before you go through things. And I think that's probably similar to just a normal parenting. You can't know what it's like to be a parent until you're a parent. You also can't know what it's like to have a terminally ill child until you have a terminally ill child, you know?
And I think for me, though, I think I wanted more connection with other people. I think because, yeah, all the fear and the dread. And I think for me, when I would talk to other people who had gone through it, there was something about seeing that they survived. Um, and we did have a friend of a friend introduced us to a couple in California whose son had Gaucher's and he had died the year before. And but even with them, we were just so in it. We've since connected more. And now I think because we're both, even though they were a year before us, we're both in this on the same side of it now. And so and they reached out and were very wonderful and kind. And but yeah, I don't know. I wanted to connect with other families who had kids going through things, but it wasn't a specific Gaucher's thing. We did have the Children's Gaucher Research Fund. They have a website and they have family stories where people write their child's story. Um, and I did read all of those, and because I really what I wanted to know was, how is this going to progress? What's it going to look like? What can we expect? And no one could really tell us that because it varies and it depends on what interventions it can depend on the interventions that you choose or don't choose. And it can depend on the child and it can depend on so many things. So nobody could really give us any sort of guidelines to how, like, my big thing was like, I wanted to know, how is she likely to die? And our doctor in Boston had said it'll likely be respiratory failure, but I just still didn't know. I couldn't picture what does that mean, and how do we get from sitting here with her being playing with her stuff and still doing new things to like a year or two from now, respiratory. And he didn't put it like harshly or anything, but so I think that, yeah, and I think the disease is so short. I think there wasn't a lot of time to process what was happening, get our feet under us with taking care of her, and build a community.
You did read the stories, and I didn't. And I think that that's interesting. I was very focused on the data and the clinical progression and what the science said, and I couldn't read the stories. I mean, I literally could not read them. It was too much. And that was, I figured for me that we were going to get there anyway. And I was just going to, when we got there, that's what we were going to do. you know? And I couldn't think about that beforehand, but you process it.
I read all the stories on
Yeah.
the website, and then I watched the videos on Courageous Parents Network, and I would tell you about the videos.
Yeah. And we did watch a couple of them together.
Well, I would watch some of them. I'd pick out ones that I made you watch.
So what I absolutely love about this conversation is that it really reminds us that there's really no single right way, right, to cope, to process information, or to find support when your child's medically complex. And so, each parent here found their own path and both recognized and respected the differences between those two. It's just such a beautiful example of grace within a partnership during an unimaginably hard time. And I'm just so grateful for their willingness to share share their experience. Much like all the parents featured on CPN, each story just gives us such a gift of understanding and helps, clinicians and communities and other families really see that lived experience. Another thing that really just stood out for me for this video in particular is when Sarah references that seeing that others had survived, others had survived what they could never ever imagine surviving, the living proof that that was possible. And that was a huge thing for me. And so, when Ava was diagnosed, our world was just, it suddenly felt just very small. We felt so isolated, both physically and emotionally, from so many people and just the usual routines that once made life just feel very normal. But hearing other parents speak very openly and honestly about their journeys just really reminds us that we aren't alone. That sense of shared understanding is really what Courageous Parents Network offers, a bridge back to the connection, empathy, and hope. So here we have navigating medical complexity. This just gives you kind of a screenshot of what the website looks like. Navigating medical complexity was developed over a decade with the advice and support of families and clinicians. The original resources have been reorganized and expanded with educational material that provides a context and emphasizes, as always, the critical role that palliative care or palliative aware practice can play in improving the care experience. And so there's three phases of the illness journey. Orient and guide caregivers with perspectives from clinicians and other parents to help families grow in agency and confidence. Topics are presented as caregivers might experience them along the journey, and related resources such as, again, videos, blog posts, guides, and perspectives from families and clinicians really complement the topical content. This really provides viewers with the three phases. So you have orienting, collecting information, and building a foundation of support as your journey begins, followed by navigating, which is maximizing resiliency and making decisions that work for your child and the family. And then the third phase of moving forward or adapting to your child's evolving baseline and reorienting your goals. And so the three phases are based upon research that was completed to chart the inflection points in the family journey. This was developed with clinician input about creating more opportunities for parents and clinicians to reflect on a child's prognosis and the guidance that might be needed at the phase, at each phase of the journey. And the three-phase approach really helps structure the information in a way that really offers anticipatory guidance. As users, you're better able to see yourself in the path of your journey. And this really provides a map with a range of topics for families to explore. And then in some chapters, there are also subtopics that can also be explored as well. So another initiative is called NeuroJourney. NeuroJourney was developed 3 years ago as a resource very specific to families caring for children with neurologic conditions and those with severe neuro impairment. NeuroJourney uses 4 phases of a full life to help you understand the challenges that you might face, that you might anticipate, the conversations that you may have, and it can prepare you for the decisions that you may need to make as you determine goals of care for your child. Unlike navigating medical complexity, you will find medical content that's anticipated, common medical complications that children with severe neurological impairments face. Everything that CPN does is to provide families, again, with anticipatory guidance or a viewpoint into what might be coming. NeuroJourney really explores the medical considerations to help parents and other caregivers understand what may be happening, what might happen with their child. And social and emotional topics are highlighted to really build families' confidence and to reduce their sense of isolation. This is an ideal tool here for clinicians wishing to provide anticipatory guidance and or offer, point of care and psychosocial support for these families. NeuroJourney can be employed to prompt conversations, assist families in reflecting and forming questions, and really encourages shared decision making. So, coping with loss, another one of the initiatives that really recognizes that anticipatory guidance doesn't stop at the end of life, but that it continues on into bereavement. And this initiative offers, support and language for the bereaved experience. It normalizes continuing bonds, mixed emotions, anniversaries, memories, and the ongoing presence, of our children in our lives. It helps families, understand that their grief is a natural extension of the love that they'll always have for their child. And CPN really honors that love by keeping a space for it. Um, this initiative provides perspectives on loss and grief from families and clinicians of the CPN network. It is designed to offer encouragement and assurance to bereaved parents, but it's really appropriate for any caregiver anticipating the loss of their child. It is designed in sections around relevant topics, not necessarily chronological. Content is presented along with complementary resources, again, videos, blog posts, guides, and perspectives from families and caregivers. And so, also broken down into three sections here is for coping with loss. First, understanding grief, recognizing the complex emotions and the physical response to loss as they might occur. Second, coping with loss is coming to terms with the new reality and exploring what it means for you and for others. And thirdly, maintaining connection with your child. So, finding ways to have a continuing relationship even after your child's death. Here we have kind of an example of the resources and guides that are provided. The CPN website offers a variety of printable guides and resources that you can share directly with families. These are thoughtfully designed to meet families, where they are and can be tailored to their specific needs. They cover a variety of topics like understanding anticipatory grief and navigating medical complexity. And these resources can assist in educating families so that they can feel, less overwhelmed and more empowered. Families can explore the website at their own pace in their own space, and that they can see that maybe there's others that have walked a similar path. I absolutely love this. Courageous Parents Network hosts live virtual events to provide programming for parents and clinicians that really fosters knowledge and a sense of community. Viewers can learn from experience and insights of families and research from clinicians during these in the room events. And then there's book talks that are designed to explore the author's personal experience in pediatric healthcare. And all are welcome to register and join live. These are free events. In the event that you can't, they're all recorded and loaded on the website, so you can always refer back to one that perhaps you couldn't make. But such a valuable resource offered through Courageous Parents Network. And so we also have a clinician portal, which is a fantastic resource. CPN's clinician portal, it's an incredible resource that's designed specifically for you as healthcare providers. One of the biggest challenges we face is I feel like figuring out how to have these conversations, with families in a way that feels supportive, compassionate, and clear, all while not overwhelming the family. The resources available to you in the CPN's clinician portal can help you better understand the parent and family experience. It really gives you practical strategies on when and how to introduce a variety of topics and how to frame it as an extra layer of support. These resources really bring together both clinical expertise and the lived experience, and again, bridging that gap between the medical perspective and the family perspective. So as we come to this last slide, I just want to leave you with the heart of what, CPN really has to offer. Anticipatory guidance is woven into everything CPN creates. It just, helping caregivers understand what may lie ahead, naming what's happening now, and preparing for each step of their child's journey. CPN really does give families the language, the validation, and the perspective, that they need to navigate these incredibly difficult moments. But most importantly, anticipatory guidance really helps families feel less alone and more empowered. And that is the roadmap that CPN provides, one that was built with the lived experience of parents, enriched by expert insight and grounded in compassion. I encourage you to scan this QR code that's provided here today and explore the CPN website and all that it has to offer. Um, Thank you for allowing me to be here today and to share our family's experience and what CPN can offer you, and again, the families that you walk alongside. I hope that you'll consider joining CPN and joining in our mission to orient, equip, and empower parents and others caring for children with serious medical conditions by providing resources and tools that really reflect the experience and the perspective of families and clinicians. So I also included my email address here, so please feel free to contact me at that address, provided should you have any questions or if I can be of any further assistance going forward. But thank you so much for allowing me to be here and for taking the time.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Ashley. That was great. And I want to acknowledge that Jennifer Seidman popped on. I don't know if you want to come on and say hello. We're happy to have you join us. And oh, there she comes. Hey, hi, Jennifer. I'm gonna launch. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A. I'm gonna go ahead and launch the very quick evaluation poll. Would really appreciate if you would just take a quick second and fill those out. Thank you so much. And I do want to share, so I get your emails. What's the best way to sign up for your email listserv? Is that something they can do if they scan that QR code?
Yes, it'll take you to the website that will
Mhm.
provide you the ability to sign up and receive the emails. And one thing I do love about the emails as well is that they don't really overburden you with with emails. I think it's, limited to maybe like 2 a month. But certainly the website does help you to navigate through by putting that in there, and you can easily sign up for that.
Great, wonderful. And I'll have lots of great webinars that I try to attend. Do you guys hold webinars pretty frequently, like on a monthly basis or every week, or how often do you guys hold webinars?
I know that we have the exact frequency I am unsure of, but they have one coming up here. Not too terribly. Let me go back here.
Yeah.
It looks like
So
once a month.
I can answer that, Ash.
Thank you, Jennifer.
We host these typically monthly. Our book talks are sort of sporadically interspersed in between our monthly webinars. And the next one that's coming up is in December on the 3rd. It's coping with the holidays, both as a parent who is still actively caring for your child or as a bereaved parent. So we'll discuss sort of the whole range of all of that. I'll also mention, in case there are some providers in the audience, that for this particular year, many of our webinars also offer CME credits. So if you are a provider looking to get some of those credits, you can look to our webinars to achieve that.
That's great. Thank you so much. All right, feel free to put any questions in the Q&A. We did have a comment in the chat thanking you for your powerful story and for sharing everything, Ashlyn. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me here.
Okay, let's see. No questions in the Q&A so far. Some thank yous. Great. Yeah, and I just, like I said, because I may or may not see her in the chat, have a colleague that, has utilized your resources and was just, really thankful for them and also wish that, she had known about them earlier in her kiddo's life because it's just been so valuable. And I'm really happy that everybody joined us today. Again, I will send out an email with a link to the recording with a PDF of the slides. And if there's any other resources that either one of you would like to share direct links to, I'm happy to include those in the follow-up email. If anybody has any questions, you can email Ashley directly, or you can email me and I can connect you. I can put my email in the chat as well. There we go. All right, well, I think that's it. We don't have any questions in the Q&A. That was great and very concise. And I really encourage everyone to just poke around on the website, check out all the things. There's just so much to go through, and there's so many wonderful resources, and it really could probably take you all day if you had the time. But just such great information. We're really thankful that you were able to join us today and share all of these great resources and information. And we will get this follow-up email out to all of you. Again, it'll probably be Monday-ish of next week, but it will probably be posted on ECAC's YouTube channel much sooner than that. Again, check out ECAC's YouTube library. I will go ahead and put, let's see, it's ECAC.org is our YouTube handle, because if you type in ECAC by itself, you will get yourself to a hockey team. And that is not where we want you to go. We want you to go to ECAC.org YouTube. We have a very robust YouTube library, lots of different topics and lots of different things. And we're excited to add this to it. And I just want to thank both of you again for joining us. And we hope everybody has a fantastic holiday season. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.